Still Life Art by Thiebaud. Today we're going to look at art by the famous artist Thiebaud. Thiebaud was born in Arizona and worked in California as an art teacher. In retirement years, he found a love for painting and made a career of doing what he loved most, painting things that he enjoyed the most. So today we're going to look at his donut paintings and try to do our own rendition of a Thiebaud donut. You can apply your imagination and make any kind of donut you want today. To get started today, you're going to need a few things. A light colored sheet of paper, pink, yellow, gray, some oil pastels. These are some Crayola oil pastels. You can see they're not in the best shape, but even a dirty oil pastel like this can be used with no problem. White is going to be our drawing tool today. So I'm going to just clean off the white a little bit so it's not so dirty on the end. So we're going to use a tissue to do that. Put my other pastels aside. The nice thing about drawing with white is that it lets mistakes be forgiven. So our rule today is that your donut has to be bigger than a roll of masking tape. So you know about how big a roll of masking tape is, definitely bigger than my fist. And donuts aren't perfect. So if you draw this circle imperfectly, that's imperfectly fine. So we're going to make a circle-ish shape. I think I went a little bit too crooked there, but I'm not going to worry about that mistake because I can always fix it with the white oil pastel. All right, so it's not quite a circle, but it's fine. It's perfect for a donut. Also, I'm going to put the center of the donut in. So the donut hole isn't always the same size. So when I look at this one, it's a little small, and I look at this one, it's a little large. Both are fine. So don't stress out over it being a perfect circle in the center. In fact, imperfect could just be perfectly great. So we've got our donut started, but we're going to look for a minute at some of the details in these finished donuts. This outside edge has a shadow on it, and that's what makes a still life go from looking like a flat piece of paper to something that looks 3D that maybe you could pick up. It's all about a shadow. Just like when you use your pencil in shadow, we're going to use pastel to shadow today. Notice that the shadow doesn't have black or gray in it. It actually has blue and purple in it. That was one of the things that Thiebaud liked to do in his shadows, use color, because shadows come from light, which has color in it. So just using black for a shadow can be kind of a harsh color, but when we add blue, it's really interesting and it makes the shadows even more fun to do. All right, so let's look at where we're going to put the shadow. Since the light seems to be shining on these donuts in this direction, see where my hand is casting the shadow? That's going to be where we also put our shadow today too. So I'm going to come on this side and make this shadow kind of look like a crescent moon shape, but it's kind of small. Now we've got a good base to start a little bit of coloring on. I'm going to put this aside for a minute, but I'm going to use it for the frosting. But let's get started with this shadow. We're going to use a little bit of blue. For some reason, the Crayola blue pastel comes out a little dark. And I'm trying to do my best right now to make the oil pastel as gentle as can be. The lightest coloring. Notice how I'm being neat. I'm not going outside of that white ridge. I'm going to switch to some purple now and do the same thing, gentle as could be. This purple I like because it gives it an extra little bit of interest. It's not just plain old blue. Now we're going to smear it. You can use a tissue to smear, but sometimes when you use a tissue, it takes the pastel off the paper. So I like using my finger, and if you have two different colors that you're using today, you might need to use more than one finger. So we're just going to take our finger and stay in the lines. Just because you're using your finger doesn't mean you can go like all over the place. Stay in the lines and blend that part in. All right, we've got our shadow going. But there's going to be another shadow that we need to add inside the donut hole. So if you see here, and it's the opposite. This shadow is on this side. The other shadow is going to be on the other side. So I'm going to very gently throw a little bit of blue on that side. Or you can follow up with a little purple if you can fit it in there. I know these are nubby, but they work. Oil pastels work forever. You have to part with them at some time when they get really bad. And I think this tray is almost ready to go. All right, so we've got our shadow, we've got our donut shape, but we don't have any icing yet. So I'm going to go back to my white oil pastel, and I want to show that this part is the top and this part is the side of the donut by giving this the icing. And not so straight. I made a little wiggly. You could even make a drip if you wanted to, right? That icing could have dripped in that spot. All right, now I'm going to go around. So it creates another crescent moon shape here that's going to be the donut crust. So I'm going to go super gentle and stay in the lines. Go right up to that blue and purple area, and gentle is more gentle the better, because we don't want the crust to look like it's burned. However, if you wanted a chocolate donut, you might want to go a little bit darker. For some parts of this project today, there will be times where you have to super dark color, but this is not one of them. So you're going to be very light with your pastel. All right, the next thing we're going to do is switch to a tan oil pastel. The tan oil pastel is a little on the peach color side. So the brown and the peach are going to mix together, but this time I'm going to actually apply pressure. So I'm not gently coloring with this oil pastel, but I am neatly coloring. And I'm going back and forth as I press so that the brown and the peach mix together to get a nice crusty tan color. All right, if you don't see that happening, then maybe you need to add a little more brown. But add it gently, because brown's a dark color, and if you color dark with it, you're just going to get dark brown. And your donut might look burned or chocolate. Okay, not a bad thing either way. All right, so this looks really blended to me, but if you wanted to take your finger and rub on it a little bit, you could. If you start to feel like you're pulling crumbs away, I don't know if you can see that. Little bit of crumbs. There's some crumbs. If you start to see a lot of crumbs, you have too much pastel on the paper, and maybe you should back off a little bit. We're getting close to finish now. I've got to decide on my icing color, and I've already made my decision. I want to do it pink, but my pink pastel looks disgusting. So I'm going to clean the point of that so that I don't have gross pink pastel all over my nice pink donut. And there's going to be two steps to this. One is a light coloring step and one is a dark coloring. So let's do the dark first. I'm going to outline the edge. I can go right up to the white or even on the white to make the white disappear at that stage. And I'm going to really outline my icing, pressing hard. And then I'm going to make this nice and thick. So a nice flat surface of the desk. Staying in the lines and making this area as thick as I can make it and dark. I'm starting to see a few crumbs. Don't brush the crumbs because they'll smear. We can shake them on the floor. All right. It's looking good. I'm getting hungry. It's one thing about still life art. When you pick delicious toppings, it does make you hungry. Okay, so now we've got that nice dark ring. We're going to do the same thing to the inside donut hole area and make that nice and thick. All right, so what we've created is darkness, and this is going to be our lightness. So now we're going to take this and color evenly, gently, kind of in between gentle and hard. Like I can still see through the crayon pastel here. It doesn't have a solid look to it. And that's what I want it to look like. I want it to not be so thick in this area, because I'm going to put jimmies on it. And if my pastel's really thick in this area, it makes it hard to do the decorating. All right, so now I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to go in circles. Sorry, the table's shaking a lot. And try to blend this all in. If it still shows a lot of the paper and you want to add more, you can always add more. but it now looks a little bit darker here, so I want to brighten it up. I'm going to actually add a little white to it. That'll help make it look a little bit brighter in the middle. You can do that as well. All right, there we go. So now it's brighter in the middle and darker on the edges. All right, I've got a lot of crumbs there. And now it's time for decorating. So if you'd like, you can try doing your drizzle with oil pastel, and you're going to press hard on this. But some of the students were having trouble deciding on what to do. So if you're going to drizzle, you can use the same color that you were working with as your idea. So let's just say you wanted stripes, but you weren't sure about it. Well, if you draw them with the pink and you don't like them, you just rub them out, make them part of your background. But if you draw them, and I don't know what kind I want to do on this. Let's see. I think I'll do stripes too, kind of like the other donut that I did. And I'm just going to make my stripes go in diagonal. But when I hit the hole, I'm going to go curve around. All right, so that's definitely where I want my stripes to go. So now I'm going to get the glaze color that I want. And I'm going to do this nice, oh, it just changed my mind. I'm going to do red. All right, and I'm going to make these nice, neat red glaze marks for the decorating. And I can follow my pink lines, and it looks nice. Now, a lot of students wanted to do jimmies, and these oil pastels really don't work out so well for jimmies. So instead of using the oil pastels, switch to a colored pencil and try doing your jimmies with your colored pencil. And it works so much nicer. Have fun and create a donut that maybe no one else might think of.